We are live.
And we are Violent Wrestling Podcast, officially VWP. Um, Things out of beyond our circumstances last night. Sorry we didn't have a Tuesday podcast, but the good news is tonight is a holiday night here in the States, so we have free time to talk as long as we want or until we all just pass out because things are afoot. As always, Mox with me is Miss Ambrose Alley.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the wonderful Violent Wrestling Podcast.
Oh God, she's high.
I was gonna say you can tell where the problems were gonna start this episode, and as always, and with a new and better and improved, and he's muted now, Mr. Metal Matt, and I guess we'll skip him and get. Oh, there he is, Mr. Metal Matt.
Hello, everyone, and I just recently got a brand new headset, so I hope it's a better quality from me than my entire run doing BWP. And you know, um, tomorrow is the 4th of July, and so in that spirit, I went to go see the Liberty Bell the other day, but it's not all it's cracked up to be.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
Okay, so we can hear you. The quality of your voice is better with the new headset. The quality of your material is still shit. And as always, um, future Mr. Tegan Knox. I mean, Adam Rice.
Future my next broken heart.
Let's face it. Let's face it. Tegan Knox is Adam's future ex-wife.
That's what I would guess. Next best next fight, I guess. I don't know. Good evening, everybody. It's happy to be here with you on 4th of July
This
Eve.
motherfucker.
The drinking has already started. It
I'm
seems.
sober, but give it time. Depending on how this podcast progresses, I might hit the bottle.
I find that hard to believe, sir.
Um, Dude, the pre-show before we went live, I'm convinced that he's cracking a bottle open before this episode ends.
It'll happen.
Um,
Uh,
so how was everyone's week and all that stuff? Just podcast note. If you can't already tell, this episode's going to be nuts. So strap in, enjoy, go along with this ride. Um, Somebody other than AA also have chat open because I'm not sure AA is going to be able to read some comments.
Just a minute, let me get it open. I got to get
So
it open.
that's what. Never mind.
sir,
How was how
sir.
was how was everybody's week? Um,
It's been one. It's been
Week,
a
week
week. That's
week
for
was
sure.
pretty good. Week was pretty good. I did find out that the kind of cats that do like to go bowling are called alley cats.
God,
oh
man.
God. Oh, if I
You know,
quit, then I don't get any kind of back pay, severance pay. Like I'm
you're
kind of.
in the same geographic area. Deal with the problem.
I've warned him like, dude, you're just like 3 hours south of me, and I know where you work. I know what you drive. You don't live in the biggest metropolitan area. Like I will find you.
Oh gosh.
How was
Yeah.
your
Well,
week,
I
Matt
mean,
and
well,
AA?
well, I
Or
mean, if a,
not you, not you, not you, not you.
well, I mean, if a politician did come from a metropolitan area, would he be a metropolitan?
Oh sweet Jesus.
Um,
Where's that liquor? Where's that liquor?
Can we get Todd? I'd rather hear Todd screaming in the background. Hey, what about your week?
Well, my week was wonderful. It was awesome, except for the trip down the stairs, thanks to the cat. But I
Those
got
kitty
good drugs.
cats.
But I got good drugs out of it, so I forgave her.
For those that don't know, AA, what was it, 2 weeks ago, got a new
Kitten,
kitten.
2-month-old kitten.
How's that coming along with Cassie? Because everybody knows Cassie the Wonder Dog.
Well,
I hear
Cassie,
Raj pouring drinks.
Pouring Jameson directly into the bottle of pop.
oh, they're getting along great. But I did go to see Milestone 9 for RMP, which was awesome.
That's their anniversary show.
Yep, they've been doing this for 9 years. More hats off to them because they did another awesome show.
Very nice, very nice. I caught most of it, not all of it. But you were there live in person.
Yep, and I got to meet my newest favorite wrestler. That was so cool.
All right.
Well, describe name, who.
Corey Lyon.
You're not lying about it, are you? Because
No,
I'll
I'm
tell
not.
I'll
Oh
tell Matt.
God.
I'll tell Mercury Matt if you are, or Curtis Cole. I'll tell him you're lying if you're lying about it.
Nope, I'm not. He's right up there with Curtis Cole.
I mean, if she's lying about it, man, I hope she's not kidding us about it.
Oh God!
I didn't pour in enough whiskey.
Can somebody please cut me over the head? Nobody gets my baby lines. Never mind. Never mind. Let's move on. So why? How did he? Because this is becoming kind of recurring of RMP bringing in new wrestlers, and not just you but other people, including myself, like falling in love with them. So what draws you to Mr. Line?
Oh, what drives me to Corey? He's excellent in the ring. He has a great gimmick. He's the party animal champion. He's a
Nice.
he's just got a great gimmick. He's really really nice, and he's got some good ink.
And see, the thing you say about really nice is what I miss about where I have to watch it, on Twitch or Fight or whatever, is you get to interact a lot with the wrestlers. I get to somewhat like on Twitter, or I have some of their phone numbers and stuff, but I've never like got to meet any of them like you do.
Well, come up here sometime, and I'll introduce you to him.
Well, no, I'm not making that joke on a live podcast because it wasn't a naughty joke. It was about you falling down the steps and being on the good meds. Like that'd be a twofer. I could meet some wrestlers and get some of the good medicine.
That's a twofer.
Well, hell, weed's legal in Colorado anyway, so it'd still be a
There
twofer.
you go.
Yeah, but it's not illegal in Wyoming.
Well, yeah, I'd have to take yeah, and I don't live in Wyoming. I'd have to take my chances
Well,
through 4 state lines
well, I mean,
to get it back.
Mox, let's face it, we'd all know that.
Oh
We'd
God!
all know that. Oh my God. Monkey in a
Uh,
sidecar.
But this is my question, and I called you guys Harry and Lloyd earlier. Who's the monkey and who's in the sidecar when it comes to you two?
In the sidecar. Just
Somebody's cut.
there's no what
Somebody's cutting out big time.
is it me? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I
we
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
No.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
I think it's great that we can hear them.
Oh
uh,
lordy.
Father, can you hear me?
oh
Oh
sweet
good
God,
God, no.
God, I will smash my phone. I swear.
He will back over it in the Rav.
Sir, you know too much about me, sir.
No, no. This is your fault.
So, what else came from Milestone 9? AA?
Out of Milestone 9, every title changed hands. So we got all new champions.
Care to go into some detail there?
And
And let's see, we'll start with the Rocky Mountain Pro Championship. Atiba beat Filter for it. Undoubtedly, Anaya couldn't wrestle, so Filter was standing in for him, and Atiba beat Filter and got the.
And Atiba's still, he's one of the ones that we bring up or we brought up when he debuted. Like, I love Atiba. That kid is going places.
Yes, he is.
It's going to be hard to knock him off my pedestal of favorite Rocky Mountain Pro wrestler. Um, isn't this his second title reign?
This is his second title run with it.
Because he was the youngest ever to have it,
Yep,
lost it, and then just won it back at Milestone 9.
yep. Then let's see, we'll go with the Charge Championship, and that went to Marlon, which means it's out of Corrente's hands. Thank goodness.
Prentes, and this is in kayfabe. Prentes is such an asshole in kayfabe.
Yes, in kayfabe, but in reality, he's a really nice guy.
I know. I'm just like, but he plays the hill like I just
You have to hate him. He plays it so
yeah
you have to hate him.
yes. I know he's you know different outside, but just again in kayfabe. Like God, I can't stand him. He
No one
doesn't, and he does it a little too well.
so it went. Then we'll go down to the Lockheads Championship, which was a dog collar match, which was won by Abaddon over Simon Lockhart.
Yeah, this is the one because I'm a Simone fan. And I like Abaddon too. Um, I guess it was time to get it off Simone Lockhart. Uh, can't really disagree with it because I like both of them. This match I actually saw in full, and it wasn't your typical dog collar match.
No, but it was a good one.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. And then Marty the Moth took back his Twitch championship by beating Chongo.
that one surprised me. I thought that this is where going into the card, like okay, the out of all of the titles up for defense, they're not going to put the title back on Marty off of Chongo. This is my safe bet. They're going to keep the title on Chongo, and Chongo no don't champion no more.
No, he doesn't. And then, unfortunately, the tag team championship went to Two Cold Scorpio and his tag team partner. I can't remember who that was, but
Oh,
they won it in a triple threat.
yeah, a tornado tag.
Yeah,
Um, shoot, and I can't think of it at the top of my head, and I don't want to mess up my signal, but I forget who Too Cold was partnering with.
Too
Um,
hot.
sir,
Too
sir,
cold. Too cold.
ice, ice, baby.
Too cold. Too cold. Now
Too
the
cold
party is
Scorpio.
jumping.
but they all get rematches. So
Yeah, and as we said, this is their anniversary show, so it's like a lot of, if you want to consider it like a WrestleMania, even though belts don't always change at WrestleMania, or like Impact Slammiversary, or this is where you do see a lot of activity and movement and titles and what their next year is going to look like, kind of. Does that make sense?
yeah, it's also the match with Al Snow and Head taking on Kip Rascal and Butterscotch.
Oh yes, yes.
This became a heck of a match. It got interfered with, and I'm still not exactly sure who won. I don't think won really because there was interference in this one, but it was fun to watch.
Right. It was definitely a match just to entertain the live crowd and the TV viewers. Like it was just it was always set to be a fun match and delivered on being fun.
As only Al Snow can deliver it.
Also true.
But Kip Rascal, he did really good against Al Snow to, with the entertainment factor. You may not like Kip Rascal, you may not like the character, but it worked really well without. He worked really well with Al Snow and Head, and that is pretty much the rundown of what happened in Milestone. Corey didn't wrestle that night, which was a shame, but I got to see him Saturday night when he wrestled at Romero's Canine Club and Tap House. So I did get to see him wrestle Saturday.
I was
Sounds
waiting for
good.
somebody else to jump in. Um, yeah, do and I know you're we'll just keep using the term under the weather. Do you remember? Shut up, Rice. Do you,
I'm not under
uh,
the weather. I'm flying high. We'll go with that.
Flying
uh,
high again.
could
Every word. Every word.
No one got that reference, I guess.
no, we all did. We all just have our hands in our head, shaking our head.
With my
Heads in
head
our
in my
hands.
hands, see you
Sweet
crying.
God. Um, and Saturday's show wasn't taped. What it was,
It was on Twitch.
it was on Twitch. Okay, then
Saturday.
I missed that whole. My last couple weeks have been
Well,
crazy.
yeah, it has. You've been worried about your family, and that's
Um,
understandable.
I thought the Saturday show was more like a WWE house show. I didn't realize it was going to be on Twitch where I would have tuned in.
Yeah, they did it, and Atiba won his match in his hometown because Atiba is from Lafayette, Colorado.
Obligatory wrong Lafayette.
Yep, I was
Said
getting ready
by
to try to.
Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt Des Moines will be the one saying that in the chat.
Um,
Oh,
I got a little tipsy at Saturday night. They had this really great beer. It was a wheat beer with a cherry flavor to it. It's really nice.
Nice. That's what you got to watch out for are the sweet drinks because you
It wasn't really sweet. It was smooth. It was smooth for a wheat beer. And all they serve at Romero's is craft beers.
now speaking of like going up there to sing a Rocky Mountain Pro show with you, like I don't know either Rack House or Romero's. I'm not sure which one I want to visit, but
The Rack House gets wild.
I guess both. But Romero's, you've always told me, like you just said, has the craft beer, and that'd be like two experiences in one: wrestling and different craft from different breweries and stuff. So
And it's also a dog-friendly establishment. They have a dog park. You
that's why you're let in.
Yes, that's why I am let in.
oh, the timing of that was so perfect.
Well, some people could
Oh,
call me a female dog. I don't mind. I've been called it before.
Nah.
that is not something that we would do in this company. So, the whiskey's
Well.
working.
Oh, so um, anything else from Rocky Mountain Pro from Saturday or from the anniversary show number nine, which I can't believe makes next time 10 years. Merker Matt Yane's been it started real slow and now it's really ramping up of moving this idea and this baby he had in his head and moving it along to um, next time it's going to be 10 years since it started.
Yeah, and having now two Coach Scorpio as the head coach,
Yes,
head
I saw
trainer,
it.
that is going to be awesome because that man still got it. He still has it.
Black don't crack.
So,
Oh, Flash, you were just so funky. Dun,
oh
Oh God,
god.
no, please, no, no.
Flash. Uh huh. Flash.
Okay, we're moving on to
Funky.
stop this.
Yes,
I guess then we
right.
move
Before
on to what
Hard segue.
Flash bad. Hanging on with a lady. Make 'em all
oh
feel
god,
fine.
Allie's the one on pain pills. I'm the one. Me and Mox are the one drinking. How are you the one acting like this?
I don't know.
Oh god.
I can't drink fast enough. I'm just trying to. I've already had two just since we went live, and it's
Well,
not helping.
I got to watch the Iconics run along, so I'm full of energy now.
all right,
You're
way
full of
to
something,
go.
aren't you?
And because of them,
Uh,
I got the KFC Cheetos chicken sandwich. So
that does not sound good at all.
it's actually
Not at
quite
all.
flavorful. Quite flavorful.
It just
Tastes
doesn't.
And the Iconics said it was good, so it must be good.
no, that is actually the complete opposite of how that should work.
Obviously, Matt's never had like authentic Australian food because he would think differently of their taste.
I mean, several
Yeah.
times the Outback. Does that count?
Oh
No,
god.
sir. When you eat Vegemite, come talk to me.
And I
Uh-huh.
have a jar of that stuff too, a small little jar of it. and all it has is a little tiny piece taken out that I tasted. Forget it. Uh, you, that's a very acquired taste that you have to grow up with.
But what I heard, it's very bitter, very bitter.
It
No,
is.
So,
no, you are
so
not doing
do
an
do not
accent.
do accents. Do not, because you just did like a Scottish British half breed as an Australian accent.
Oh, good God. All right, we're going to
It's
segue
like
hard
James
here.
Corden and
Good
shit.
job, mate.
Oh,
Oh, let's have another shrimp on the barbie.
No, you don't put shrimp on the Barbie. I was corrected on this. You put prawns on the Barbie.
What about the
'Cause
shrimp? Where did
But
they
that
go, mate? Where did they go, mate?
that's their shrimp. And
Steve Irwin is rolling over in his grave as we speak.
but Hat told me that that it's prawns for the big shrimp. When
yeah,
they
prongs and shrimp, they're basically the same thing.
They're
The
And,
cousins.
prawns are
and
bigger, and the little shrimp you have for the cocktail shrimp.
and somewhere Pepe the prawn is crying.
Oh sweet God! Oh God, Adam, please hard segue.
All
I don't
right,
care if we
what
have to
else?
talk about. Actually, there was something you wanted to mention that happened today.
Yeah, came down within the last hour or so that unfortunately, um, Pedro Aguayo, some better known as Pedro Aguayo Sr., passed away today at the age of 73. Um, for those who are not familiar with his work, he debuted in the late 60s. Um, and his first initial claim to fame is that he was one of the legendary El Santos' last major feuds, um, which basically launched his career as a heel. And he became one of Mexico's biggest heels, biggest drawing heels, biggest drawing stars, period, well into the 90s. Um, he was a
He
founder.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
He was a founder of AAA and had major feuds with Conan and Cien Caras, and just wrestled basically everyone. And he was one of the biggest stars Mexico ever produced. He was once described as being a mix of Terry Funk and Bruno Sammartino.
Yes, that's what I was when I was going to make that analogy. And there was a time in the late '70s, early '80s, maybe even up to the mid to late '80s. Um, he was also referred to, thought of as the Mexican Ric Flair.
He was a guy. He was never afraid of a blade. Would get juice often, um, early and often. Um, he even did a little bit of work with the WWF. Um, was in the '97 Royal Rumble
Yes.
in a match that also had guys like Mil Mascaras and Hector Garza in heavy metal when they were young luchadors. Uh, Retired. Um, when did he retire? Around 2000. Maybe he came back out of retirement to have a match to team with his son Pedro Aguayo Jr.
I was about to
And
say he never really retired. Like it's one of those
he's
wrestling things where
yes, in Mexico it's also different where they kind of have planned retirement matches.
Well, you did
Like
say
they're
he was like Terry Funk.
well, yeah, that's true. Mexico is a little different when it comes to their wrestling because they have sort of these. you're supposed to retire at a certain time, kind of thing.
Yes.
And so he lost his retirement match because he was supposed to. And but he would come out of retirement, um, work with his son in a tag match, and then he went back into retirement basically. And that was it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think after the tag match, this is just off the top of my head. He didn't wrestle per se anymore, but he was still
around.
there. Yeah, he was still around. He was still active in the wrestling community and appearances and stuff like that. And
He's also a guy who, when you look, I mean, he has a long and distinguished resume. Um, but he's also a guy who, because he was so ever over, he never, you don't see his name like as a champion, one certain champion for so many times. You know what I mean?
right,
Even like
right,
Flair, who, even though he was the biggest star in the business, was also regularly world champion. He was only AAA Campeón de Campeones championship holder once. And he only won the tag titles at the AAA twice with his son. Um, and he bounced around. He also briefly worked CMLL. Um, he was also, before he was the first um, WWF light heavyweight champion.
yes. And
But
so that's where a lot of people might his '97 Royal Rumble entrance and or in not entrance like his coming Titantron, but being in there and then being the light heavyweight champion is where I'm sure most people with historical
he's,
knowledge would remember.
yeah, he was WWF light heavyweight champion seven times. But
Yeah,
what's odd about his title reigns is that they came pre '97 because the company designed the light heavyweight championship um, in the mid '80s, early '80s,
yes,
and they because they were working with the then UWA, um, which was a lucha libre promotion, and that was being partnered with WWF at the time, and he was the first champion. But then, through partnerships failing, the belt went over to Michinoku Pro. But since the WWF held the belt went back to the company. But in '97, when they had the light heavyweight championship tournament, Taka Michinoku was the quote unquote first champion, and that's who the company recognizes. So the belt
right.
predates the company's official recognition by about um,
And that
over 10
goes.
years.
We all know that that goes for many different scenarios.
Yes.
Like
Heck, there
that,
was
that's
even
happened more than just this instance of um, when, and not just WWF, WWF, WWE, but other wrestling promotions as well um, don't recognize some things that happened.
I hear a puppy dog.
That's
How
Elmo,
much
and
is that puppy dog in the window?
Arf,
no,
arf.
he's literally
yeah it
Is it our
and
buddy Shadow?
it's funny
no, um
it's funny too because I'm just going to ignore the dogs. Um, he was also with the WWF, quote unquote. He was the first and final WWF Intercontinental Tag Team Champion with Gran Hamada. So it just a couple little bit of interesting notes with the biggest company in the world, but that certainly doesn't define him because, like I said, the guy was a legend in Mexico. He worked with everybody. People would go to Mexico to work with him. He'd come to the States to work with people. One of the true legends of the business that I don't think a lot of people recognize if you're very USA focused in your wrestling. But, rest in peace to him and thoughts are with his family. Mox?
Moxie,
Yeah. Okay, he muted. Um, well, guys, while he's muted, Matt, do you want to give us a rundown of either have you seen the most recent NLW, Matt?
Okay, sorry, I just wanted to check and see what was going
Have you,
on with the Elmo
with the
barking.
doggos?
Yeah, this time of year and where I live, um, you never know if something got in the house and they were trying to attack it. This
And I
this was just
say, what's going on?
oh good
What
grief.
the hell?
He's doing four non blondes, trying to.
Yeah,
So the
trying to.
basic Mox, is there
Um,
anything you wanted to add to Paraguay before we move on?
and I think we um beyond like rest easy.
Hmm.
No, I do want to. It's not really wrestling related, except for the fact that it's. And I said this pre-show of I love this kid, and I didn't realize he was just a couple years younger than I am. Um, Jared Lorenzen also passed earlier tonight. If you don't know who that is, he was quarterback for the University of Kentucky, signed with the Giants, actually won a Super Bowl with the Giants.
Was
Um,
Eli's
and
backup?
and there's no easy way to say this. Um, the fat quarterback that
Hefty lefty.
the Pillsbury Thoroughboy,
I
the
shouldn't
the
laugh, but
the biggest quarterback in NFL history, and when we say biggest, we mean like
heaviest.
heftiest. Yeah. Um, he passed today at or this evening at 38 years old. Um, and he
Kurt,
really ballooned and went to the CFL. But he was really trying to get his health back on track. He had all kinds of health issues, and he was really trying. And I always call him the like the. To me, he has the body of Refrigerator Perry, William Perry from the Bears. For those that don't know, um,
The Bears.
the
the
Bears.
Bears.
But he was a quarterback, and dude wasn't that bad. He was just very not your prototypical quarterback.
was always a guy who I think when people saw him, they thought, "What the hell is this?" But he was very much he was a runner, really a lot of the time, and at 275 is really impressive back in his
Yes,
college days
yes.
because he was always more athletic than people gave him credit for. Because he was not he had a big arm, but he was never the most impressive
With
thrower of the
accuracy,
football.
yeah. Like he's not going to win an accuracy contest per se.
He was
But
never really an NFL starter guy. Not that he got the chance, but I don't think his talent on the field ever warranted that. But you hate to see someone die, especially, I mean,
Eh,
dying is, it sucks, but 38 years old, that's
yeah,
horrible.
and
Cardiac and renal failure, his kidneys and his heart gave out. Um,
yeah, we talked pre-show where I think you nailed it on the head of his body just finally said, no more. Like, no, um, and can't say that without saying, and yeah, I'm sorry off the top of my head with everything going on. Can't remember his name, but 27-year-old Los Angeles
Tyler
Angels player.
Skaggs,
At 27, he passed away
yeah,
earlier this week, Monday, I believe.
basically was down in Texas there. Found unresponsive and passed away, 27 years old. That was just horrible, 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 horrible. But our thoughts are with everyone, their families of the men we mentioned, and hopefully there's peace for all of them now. But we will try to move on to happier topics. And your dealer's choice, guys: MLW or the big news of the last week.
Iconic.
MLW.
First of all, Matt, no one
Oh
wants to
God,
talk
I'm
about that.
I'm the tiebreaker. Oh, you know where I'm going, and it's not the Iconics.
So,
But
Matt,
that,
did you get a
that always
chance to
makes me
watch?
happy.
Did you get a chance to watch the most recent MLW, Matt?
Unfortunately, I didn't. I was just super busy this past weekend. But,
You had 2 days in a row off,
I
sir.
think
There's no
so,
excuse.
maybe. But even so, but, I did see that Austin Aries made his debut on that particular show, so I'm going to try and watch that sometime this week.
I would avoid that episode.
But also, I want to say on an upcoming episode of typically we don't plug most other podcasts, but since this is MLW related, um, Miss, well, Matt, you say her name better than I do.
Sadina Del Renta.
I love that.
Miss
Just love that.
Miss De Miss De La Renta will be on the upcoming episode of the Jim Cornette Experience.
Oh, she's going to make
So
that podcast listenable for a change.
Only if
I
her
will
camera's on.
refrain.
Only if her camera's
Only if
on.
the camera's on. Yeah. Um, I will refrain from comment about the other thing though. Mox, they're showing a replay of the women's game, and press was just on my screen.
Nice.
Um,
I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find
oh,
anything else
son
that
of
would
a
make Box
son.
happy.
All right, so I guess to be nice to Matt, since he really can't talk about NLW, Matt, would you please unbiasedly review the newest episode of the Iconics Ride Along?
Well, it was actually a pretty interesting thing. I mean, one,
It had Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins on
and
it, so
that
of
was the
course it
problem.
was.
That was the problem. It was too much Ryder Hawkins. Too much. They needed to cut that out. Should have been 22 straight minutes of the Iconics riding along. But anyway,
Riding along in my automobile.
so this episode of Ride Along was Iconics and Ryder Hawkins, and they actually have this episode had premise. The premise was to do a scavenger hunt in Texas, I believe.
Yes.
And of course, the Iconics won and became the first ever ride along scavenger hunt champions.
Oh
I
dear
mean,
God.
I mean, first longest reigning women's tag team champions of all time, now first ever ride along scavenger hunt champions. These women keep making history. Is there
You're
anything they can't do?
At
Is there
least they
anything
did
you're
they
not
giving.
use the term undefeated streak yet.
and they ended an undefeated streak as well. So
Why did you do that? Why?
It was
Why?
coming, and just to get it over with, they ripped the band-aid off.
Matt, you're giving me indigestion.
but I mean, it was a pretty good episode. Iconics were really funny. Talk about winning the tag team titles at WrestleMania, going back to Australia for Super Showdown, visiting like all these places in Texas, doing the scavenger hunt. They went to go to KFC because that was on their scavenger hunt list that they were given, and they tried the new Cheeto sandwich, which is good, and I can vouch for that because the Iconics influenced me to get that same thing tonight for dinner, and it actually is pretty good. Like it really is. Like it's really cheesy. It's really flavorful,
Shocker.
but it's
Honors
pretty
note:
good.
we
I
are
would,
not sponsored by KFC nor the Iconics, so
oh,
And
we
Matt
are
is just easily
we are
influenced.
sponsored by BlueChew.com. So
no, we.
And cease and
nah,
desist
No,
letters coming.
I
speaking
wish.
of Blue Chew, the
God.
and this is jumping ahead a little bit. Will um the Maria Mike Kanellis thing and
Oh.
Blue Chew, we can help, and tagging Mike Bennett,
Yeah,
we can help with the thumbs up. That was
yeah,
pretty
that
good.
was
That was pretty
perfect.
good.
That really was great. But, Matt, I mean, overall, what would you rate the episode?
Iconic.
I would say, yeah,
That's
iconic.
good.
I would say 9 out of 10. Take out Ryder and Hawkins, and it's absolutely fantastic. I'll watch the Iconics on pretty much anything.
Including the newest episode of Demandy's Donuts.
Oh yeah, that's right. They were on there.
Where are you on that one, Slick?
I actually
I
did see
tried
bits and pieces of that.
I tried to watch it, but YouTube kept giving me a playback error.
It was probably for your own good.
And speak,
Yeah.
and speaking of Demandy's Donuts, I believe a few weeks ago they also got that Cinnabon biscuit thing, which I also got tonight as well. So it's
I
not
can
just the
hear
iconic.
your heart stopping from here. Jesus, sir.
Come on, man.
KFC. It's finger looking good.
Oh. Moving on. Uh,
He's,
Secret spices of the Colonel.
which are no
so,
secrets.
yeah.
Secret. I got a secret with parts made in Japan. Secret. I got a secret. I
This
am
what
the Madrin
can
man.
we?
Mute him. Mute
Yes.
him, please.
I'm enjoying it.
That's because you're high. Um,
I was going to listen to this podcast, but then I got high.
I see. Uh, I only have a few Xanax left, and I'm not sure how much more. I'll keep having to pop Xanax, like the Dumb and Dumber movie where he keeps having to pop his pills. Like, oh, you guys, and of course AA just eggs them on.
so
I
I
mean,
think it's time we.
how do you like your eggs? Scrambled, over easy.
I knew that was coming.
Oh,
I knew it was
yeah.
coming. I started to make the pun
We're,
before he did.
I'm really ashamed of myself, but
I like my eggs sunny. Shut the fuck up, side.
Scrambled for me with cheese.
Yeah, same here.
see, I enjoy over easy
Well, you would.
because I'm a whore.
You're a lazy motherfucker.
I mean, sometimes you just hate stuff being over that easy, but BlueChew.com can help.
Oh god damn.
You should be ashamed, but I know you're not.
He has none. Oh, good grief.
Well, I
Um,
Think you
guess it's
would be
time.
satisfied? I'm shameless.
a quick thing
Oh,
that's not in the. I'm trying to personally mute him.
hold this together.
Yeah.
Hold this
Um.
together.
um. Damn it. Damn it, Matt. Damn it. You can't spell Matt without damn it.
Of course you can.
No, you can't. There's MAT, and damn it. No, you can't.
You didn't specify what Matt.
Um, but an upcoming episode of ours, Bayou Independent Wrestling is really hitting their stride again, and the owner and promoter for that will be joining us soon. This has been talked about before, um, and they've had, just like we all have, some hiccups in the road, but they're really starting to tour the southeast a lot more, from Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida. Um, so we'll have him on. Um, um, I'm trying to anything here, guys. Anything that can't be punnable.
Well,
Um,
we are gonna have to make the turn to the big news here, so might as well jump right into it. Um,
Turn around. Every now and then I get a
see,
little bit in.
see.
See, and look, there's no. We're just gonna have to power through it. We're just gonna have to power through it.
Sponsored by Powerade.
Oh God, stop it! Now you're just being
And
difficult.
fellas, if you really need some real power, BlueChew.com can help.
Seriously,
We're
dude, we're
getting
gonna
a
get a
cease
taste
and
of it.
desist letter.
Yes, seriously, like it's happening.
Um,
Let's go to Raw.
Do we
well,
have
we're
to?
gonna. No, we're not, but we are kind of because we're gonna do it all at once. Um, last Thursday, early in the morning, some of you might have been sleeping or just heading to work or at work. Justin Barrasso of Sports Illustrated dropped the equivalent of a nuclear bomb on the wrestling world. It was his initial report that was basically confirmed by the WWE within the next half hour that the WWE was bringing back Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff to be the executive directors of Raw and SmackDown, respectively, in a move that basically stunned everybody. Um, Now, I don't need to go
Um,
over,
Bischoff more than Heyman. Let's be honest.
yeah. Heyman has been with the company as Brock's advocate on screen and has been helping people like Bobby Lashley and
Ronda Rousey.
Ronda Rousey with their promo work. Uh, but really, you're right. The big stunning news is that Eric Bischoff is coming back, and not just coming back, but coming back in a big executive role within the company, reporting only to Vince McMahon.
He's
But
back and
Heyman,
better than ever.
I was waiting. Sorry. Um,
Just drink all the alcohol, dude. I
I
mean,
might, I
we,
might.
we've
Yeah, you might want to drink that alcohol.
Oh
we might
dear
have
God,
a couple more in memoriams next week that
my liver,
A
my
and Matt are gonna have to give on their own because we won't be
yeah.
here.
Mm, we can do it.
So what we basically know within the last basic week since this announcement is that Heyman and Bischoff will basically have full control over both shows. Um, Bischoff
Well,
was brought
be be clear there. Heyman will be on Raw, have control over Raw.
Raw.
Bischoff will be on
Bischoff will
SmackDown.
be controlling SmackDown. There was also mention that Bischoff's role will also be in kind of a network liaison because of the move to Fox and Bischoff's notorious reputation for
So would you
being.
say when they need to talk to the other network, they would send the bitch off?
Look, if you're gonna do it, don't be like that. Uh, it's look. Here's the thing: we don't know when they're starting. Although reports are they'll be starting either. There I've heard two conflicting reports.
Oh,
They're
Heyman's
starting.
definitely.
They're starting immediately, or they will be eased in. I've heard both.
Yes,
Although
and
if you
uh,
saw Raw this, God, Kristen presses. Oh, I'm sorry, that was out loud. Uh,
I have influence on people, and I love it. Um,
I'm
if
sorry,
you
people
actually watch
presses.
Raw, um, you can see the influences coming. I don't know about, or maybe already there. I don't know about
They did. They
Bischoff.
did make right. They did make the point to say after this past week's Raw that Heyman was not in control, but he
I
was
know.
backstage.
Yes. What?
BS. I call BS
Um,
on that.
I don't think they have any. There's no reason to lie there. To
Well,
me,
and
what
uh, let's be honest. Heyman's backstage a lot. Like again, he's
yeah,
been employed.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like Raw, it definitely had Heyman's fingerprints all over it. That's why I'm kind of skeptical because maybe he might not
fingerprints.
have been in full control, but there was definitely his fingerprints on it.
Then which
Like
I
one are
think
that
they
you?
first,
already.
Which one did you just
like
call bullshit on?
that
What?
one, Heyman not being in control, even though he clearly was. Like that Mike and Maria storyline, that was a freaking ECW storyline, like all the way. No, not even ECW, WCW 2000 with Miss Hancock and David Flair.
Sir.
So we don't speak of that. First of all, the less spoken about WCW 2000, the better. Um,
David
Uh, I,
Arquette, former world champion. David Arquette, Hall of Fame 2020.
um,
But
I
I'm
think
gonna be nice.
I
I'm
mean,
gonna be nice.
I mean,
yeah, I'm
I
going to
would,
be nice
I
by
would
a hard
beg,
segue.
I would
Um,
beg to hear a honky tonk man shoot interview if that
fucking
happens.
Christ,
It's not a Hall of Fame. I got
Oh
good,
dear God, he's just
good
on his own
payday,
now. It's
good
like he's on new Duracells. Jesus.
$20
I
pop
thought AA was supposed to share her pain meds with me, not Matt.
because Jerry Lawler called us druggies
Oh, sweet God.
and
Don't
Dusty
just.
Rhodes, man, Dusty Rhodes.
Rest in peace.
This is definitely hard times.
Yeah, we are definitely in hard times right now. Um, I'm going to just go based off what we're hearing because that's all I know. Heyman was not in control. Bischoff was not in control. Um,
But
the mailers,
hey, can
the
we? I don't mean to cut you off. But you and I do bounce off of each other well. Neither one were in control. Um, you have to look at it and think Heyman had at least some influence on
Yes.
Raw.
yes, I would say influence. I think because they know who's going to be in charge, so they already started to turn into things Heyman is known to like or known to want to do. Um, I will also say that I just lost my point.
Sir,
Well,
get to the hospital
Bluetooth
quick.
can help.
Son of a
they
bitch! Son of a bitch!
um
AA, you condone this?
Yep, my nose itches.
Oh
so
God, she's just as bad.
yeah. there's
I'm wearing a hat literally with the bill covering my eyes because I can't take any more.
we are so big. I'm trying to search for the point I was going to make, so, but fuck it. Um,
The porn
there's
or the point?
point,
Oh,
point. My God, sir, not while we're alive.
oh yeah,
There.
that's weekend Adam and Mark's talk.
Yes, we are horrible people. So we are now kind of in match right. The stuff we saw with Maria and Mike Bennett on Raw, that whole segment that started with the backstage and the match and the. By the way, congratulations to Mike and Maria again. Maria is pregnant with her second child. The
Well, that
WWE confirmed that.
that and the fact that they are completely playing the game with WWE.
Seriously, they signed a 5-year deal, according to reports. Signed a new
Wouldn't
5-year
you?
deal. Yeah,
Wouldn't
but
you?
as a company, wouldn't you be playing the game a little smarter?
Why? When you have the, I mean, look, even though the cons, and I don't want to bring AEW into this too much, but the con, they still don't have the financial infrastructure that WWE has because WWE is just has been around longer and the infrastructure is there. While the
And
WWE can,
I'm gonna help you out here because people will flat out bring up that Tony Khan's worth more money than Vince McMahon. We get that. Tony Khan's
Shahid
not.
Khan, the father's worth money. I don't. The
Uh,
son doesn't have
sorry,
anything.
sorry, I misspoke. Um, WWE is worth more money than the Khans. Let's make that difference.
And the infrastructure in there. So while WWE can, and they're going to be throwing out money. And if I'm Mike and Maria, I'll take the money, the security, and go about
But
my day.
you don't do that 2 days later and then say, "Oh, by the way, I'm pregnant."
Right. But the other thing with the Mike and Maria thing, and I pointed it out in the daily, is that Mike, well, at the very least, Maria Kanellis is a Paul Heyman girl.
Yes, absolutely.
Maria worked for Paul in OVW.
Yes,
And has only ever had good things to say about Paul. So bringing Maria back on screen on the cusp of Paul taking over only makes sense. Not to mention, in case people forgot, Maria's probably what the second or third best promo in the women's division.
which it,
Um,
sir, which is, and I'm going to qualify it by saying, sadly, true.
She's always been a good talker,
She has been.
and she's always understood whatever character she's doing.
She gets it a lot more than her husband. I'll say that much.
Her husband's a gallon of white paint. Oh my god, he is so bland.
There's a
But
reason why, um, and shout out to Thomas S.K. Green for using a baseball reference and turning it into a wrestling reference. It's called the VOMB, the VOMB, value over Mike Bennett.
yeah, and there's a lot of people who have value over Mike Bennett, including his wife. Um, and also, I mean, let's call a spade here. She still looks fantastic.
Absolutely. Well,
So,
yeah, it's
so why? I
Carl
mean, they
Anderson
should.
would still. Sorry, New Japan
Yeah,
reference. New Japan
yeah,
reference.
yep. That was actually a good reference. But let's turn it back to Paul and Eric.
Uh,
Generally,
okay. Since she's loopy and we might be hearing snoring in a little bit.
Nope.
Hey, just the names. Paul Heyman And
Eric Bischoff.
reported in some capacity, um, head of director for Raw,
Ex-
and Eric Bischoff.
Executive director.
Ex- eh, Shut up, sir.
Sorry.
Executive. How do you feel? Because we know from previous conversations that that was kind of the era of you came into wrestling was. How do you feel about them being?
I think
How do you feel about the situation in general?
I think it'd be great with Paul Heyman.
What about Bischoff?
I'm not so sure about Bischoff on how because I don't like his track record.
And that's the interesting part of all this. Because Eric, you have to tackle them separately because they're two totally different people.
Yeah,
Um,
they're literally two different entities.
yes. By the way, two entities that at one point in time couldn't stand each other. Let's be clear here. Paul
True,
Heyman hates Eric Bischoff.
true.
Um, I don't know if they've had a professional meeting since then, but for years Paul couldn't stand Eric Bischoff, and Eric Bischoff looked
And
down
vice
his nose at
versa.
Paul Heyman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Paul has been around the business a long time in
So is Eric.
positions. Yes, but Paul's time in the business leads more faith in him than Eric's time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Paul,
Eric was um, for those that don't know some of the history of how things went down with how Eric became executive producer, whatever title you of WCW was somewhat on a whim.
it was based on a lie. If you believe
Well,
the people have come out and talked about it. Um,
Bischoff himself is on is recorded saying he lied his way like from I'm just going to be a backstage commentator to and he played the game and
he's
now he's
played the
doing it
network.
again.
Yeah. But to start with Paul, as we all know, Paul started as a manager. Paul was actually doing things before he was a manager, but his on-screen role started as a manager. He
Yes.
managed. He then after that, I don't think Paul booked before ECW, right? I think that was his first time being creatively in charge of anything. Um,
Um no, Paul booked before ECW a little bit shit um not USWA was already it wasn't UWF. He booked a little bit here and there.
yeah, but really that's when he came into his full creative power. Is when he and Todd Gordon got together in Eastern Championship Wrestling, turned it into Extreme Championship Wrestling there
Yes.
in Philly, and that's when Paul, the creative mind, really flourished. And really, if you think about it, Paul is the reason why we know Rob Van Dam, we know Lance Storm, Eddie Guerrero,
Sabu.
Demon Sabu, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit,
Taz
um,
911.
Taz. Um,
Paul
he,
Sean
has an eye
Murray,
for
just
talent.
incredible.
yeah,
Paul has
Paul has always had,
he
Unfortunately,
go
has
ahead.
an
Shane
eye for
Douglas.
talent.
Well,
Um, and excuse me if I don't. Give me like 3 minutes to explain the difference between the two.
Did I just hear
Um,
Ox say 3 minutes?
oh,
Oh
sweet
my
God.
God. We'll get to
Okay,
that in a little bit.
here's the difference between Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff. Paul has a mind for the business, and he learned. Now with Matt's pun, I just lost what and I had a very good point to bring up. Thanks, jackass. Um,
I don't see Johnny Knoxville or Bam Margera anywhere here, sir.
Oh God. I need more liquor. The
Why?
difference
Hey,
is,
you know what they say, Adam? Wine is fine, but liquor is quicker.
and that's what I'm doing, sir. Give me time, Jesus. The difference between Paul and Eric are their approaches of how they kind of came into the business. And that heavily influenced both of them. Paul has always been an in the weeds guy. Paul likes being creatively involved, working and having his hands, getting his hands on something or somebody and working with them. Um,
I just I hate having a good point and losing it, and that's not against Matt or anything. I literally just lost my train of thought, but I had a good point of the
Sorry about
difference.
that.
And no, it's not on you. Um, that's why I said I don't.
I'll hopefully I'll get in a groove here and maybe I'll spark something in you. Um,
Ah, you
That's
threw
what
off my
she.
groove.
Paul, Eric has
Maybe the
always
emperor
been
will get a new groove.
ha ha. Eric has always been a TV guy, always. He's always cared about production and presentation and those things. He's
Eric
never
had
been a
money that Paul didn't have to work with, for
right,
one.
right, and Eric used that to his advantage. But where Eric fell apart was, like I said, he wasn't bringing anything new, and the new things he did have, he never promoted or presented correctly. Eric had at one had the jumping off point for lucha libre in light heavyweight wrestling in the United States. Had he focused on that instead of guys like Hogan, Nash, and Flair, and those guys so heavily, WCW might have had a different outcome, maybe.
But
But
and this is and again, Rice, I hate interrupting you, but we bounce off of each other so well. And this is Heyman was struggling. Heyman couldn't pay the bills.
Heyman,
Bischoff
and this is
didn't give a fuck because the bills were paid. Heyman had to find. That's when like Eastern Championship Wrestling and Extreme Championship Wrestling, like, okay, we're gonna have to be different. Let me do it this way. We're gonna have to be different. Where Bischoff was literally just like blank checks and let's roll with what's hot and not realizing when it's run its course to stop doing that shit.
Paul's biggest weakness is that Paul was never a businessman. As a
Yeah,
matter of
there's also
fact,
that.
Paul was a shit businessman. Let's be real.
So is
Um,
Eric.
correct, but but Eric was never bouncing checks.
Well, I wonder why.
Well, right, he had Ted Turner's pocketbook, but um, for as much as people remember ECW, there was no excuse when you look back on it for Paul to be bouncing checks. Um, and let's also not forget that Paul was behind the true establishment, the resurrection back into the spotlight of Terry Funk. Terry Funk's ECW run is still one of the single greatest late career runs anybody's ever had.
Funk is
And
on a roll.
in Foley's appearance in ECW was still
Excuse
some
me.
legendary stuff. And oh yeah, let's not forget that's where we saw the Steve Austin 1.0 when Steve left was fired by Eric, went
Yes.
to ECW and found this voice that was influenced and cultivated by Paul. That when the time came for him to really use it in the WWF,
Well,
he did.
Paul literally said, "Here's a live mic. Say what you want to say,"
Uh, and really,
which later became the Stone Cold gimmick. But that's pretty much how that happened.
right.
Oh, you're pissed off at this big corporation, this WCW. Here's a mic. Say what you want to say.
And Paul was never afraid to give a guy a mic and let him say what he wanted, or let a guy do what he wanted, and that also kind of backfired a few times. New
Obviously.
Jack, New Jack, Mass Transit, look it up.
Oh God,
Uh,
please. Why?
the thing, but the two big downfalls for each of them are not present in these new roles. Paul doesn't have to
Well,
worry about the check.
let's preface that we hope they're not.
We hope, we hope,
Do,
but
we know for a fact Eric's not getting the checkbook, so we know that's out of the
and
question.
Paul's not getting a checkbook.
Uh,
These two guys
uh,
don't have to worry about the money because it's not their
well,
job.
Eric's problem was the checkbook. He blank check after blank check. Paul's
Well,
problem
and
was go ahead.
and let's not also forget the other part of Paul of Eric's problem was the contracts. He gave complete and total creative freedom to too many people, so
That's
it got to
part of the checkbook. I'm going to write
well,
you
yeah,
this big, check that is guaranteed, and in this contract that you're going to sign to get this check, you have this and this. That was Eric's complete downfall.
and well,
Paul's
and that's
downfall was um, if he's had a downfall, really, he has. But I'm still trying to get to the initial point I was going to make before the puns. um,
I love
um,
puns.
uh, Paul's problem, obviously wasn't the checkbook because he couldn't pay people shit. Um, is different than Eric's. They have two separate issues. One was do not give this dude the open checkbook and let him just have complete control. And that actually works for both. Do not let either one of them have complete control.
yeah. Paul and Eric both need someone over them. I mean, in this case, it will be Vince, and because they both have shown propensities to go do something they shouldn't do.
Would you
Like
say they went
real,
too extreme with it?
yes, yes, you asshole. Um, it like we all like. I'm sure many like intense wrestling fans know this, but for the casuals who may not, um, Kurt Angle was all set to sign with ECW,
Yes.
and then they
Everything was
did,
ready to go.
the who did was it Sandman who
Yeah, it was Raven and Sandman.
Yeah.
okay where Raven literally crucified
And
Sandman on television.
Kurt Angle literally said, "This is not for me," and walked out.
Yeah, he just left. He said, "I'm not doing this." and no one would blame him. And then
Uh,
he went and signed with WWF.
he said something like, if I'm seen on TV or anything like that, if my image is featured on it, you will be hearing from my attorney.
Yeah, Eric. I mean, Kurt ran away from that as far as possibly he could.
And later on,
But
he would join a company that had Undertaker crucify Stone Cold. So
different. I want to point out those would look different and work different.
Austin,
Um,
I have taken you mind, body, and soul. The
I
only
thought
thing
you would
left
have
to
brought up
do
the
is to
Stephanie thing
bury you
first.
alive.
yeah, that was weird. Uh, so, but so once again, these guys don't have to worry about the money or the contracts because it's not their job.
Right. Keep them
Another
out
thing I
of
want to,
that, and I think they'll both.
the thing,
Okay, here's this again. I'm still trying to figure out from her if they just have one agenda. Don't worry about paychecks bouncing or money coming in or revenue or this is my if they just literally individually, like, this is my show, this is my show, creatively, I think it can work. Again, I put more faith in Paul Heyman running
Paul.
Raw than I do Bischoff running SmackDown.
Yeah,
Just based on precedence. Um, but we've seen, and sent the title to AA, but then I changed it, so I'm not sure what she
I
actually named it.
I named it what you said originally.
Okay. Um, Raw's been good for the last 3 weeks. Let's just be honest.
yeah. Raw's been good the last 3 weeks. If it's good next week, we're on a month of solidly good Raws. That's only can only be good. SmackDown still iffy. Um, but they nothing's been terribly horrible or anything like that. Um, the
Uh,
other thing with Eric now is, and feel like I have to point this out because it's important. This would be the first time Eric Bischoff has to try to book and run a show without Hulk Hogan. Hogan is
And I mean,
mm,
sometimes you just gotta wonder what you gonna do, brother. What
that
you
was
gonna
not an
do when
that
you
was
don't
not
have
an
Hulk Hogan
invitation.
watching your back, brother? What you gonna do?
well, okay.
That
A,
was
you're
not an
racist.
invitation.
B, didn't Bischoff run TNA for
Hogan and
6 months a
Bischoff came to
year before? Well,
no,
the TNA thing.
no.
I'm talking about um the WCW.
Um,
Um,
everywhere Bischoff's been, Hogan's there. That that
yeah.
never
Okay.
changed. There was never really a lengthy enough period of
With all the
time.
pawns, I've seriously, dude, just been downing them. So
So
I'm trying my best to keep up.
This will be Bischoff's
And
first time
the
as
fucked up
exec.
part is Hogan is back.
Yeah, Hogan is technically back in good graces. He won't be in any position within the company. If he is, that's a totally different set of things we'll have to deal with.
He's only a phone call away.
Please don't say that. Do
I'm just
not
being
speak
honest.
that
You
into
know they
existence.
have each other's phone numbers.
He's like
I
Chingy.
know, sir. Did you just say that?
You can roll with me, and you was my baby.
Okay, I'm done. I'm out. Bye.
Yeah.
That's,
Bye, Felicia. Happy 4th of July.
yeah.
Um,
So that will be
so,
interesting.
Matt, I know AA's, Hey,
waiting.
are you still on your not watching Raw SmackDown?
Yep.
Have you been keeping up with like any headlines or anything?
Not really.
Let me ask you this, real quick.
Well,
Hearing that Paul and Eric are coming in to the company, does that give you any incentive to maybe check it out?
It does with Paul.
and does the fact I don't want to wait our opinion, but the fact that your three co-hosts have said the last 3 weeks of Raw have been good.
Well,
Does
I
that
didn't say that.
well?
We understand your grievances, sir, but
Yeah,
we are looking past them.
you haven't said it was
But
bad
no,
either. Does
uh,
that weigh? Is it something you want to check out? According to reports, Bischoff won't be taking over until after Extreme Rules, and leading into SmackDown, maybe all the way into when they go SmackDown goes to Fox. But as we said earlier, Heyman's influence is definitely showing on Raw.
as soon
Is
as this
that
week.
wanting you to at least give Raw another try?
I'll probably
Just,
give Raw another try because it is because of Heyman.
And Matt, I guess we should ask you this: your reaction to Paul and Eric coming back into these roles, and does it
we don't.
change your view of the products at all, or
Uh,
anything you're wanting to see or hope to see?
I'm not going to do
Um,
his accent, but um, I didn't get rolls with my KFC, so I don't know.
Matt, continue.
I think I think it's interesting. I think it is interesting that they are essentially being put in charge. Heyman doesn't really surprise me because he's been working backstage anyway. I figured it was only a matter of time. Bischoff, that one really surprised me because I figured he had kind of moved on from wrestling because I knew that he was doing like this television production thing with Jason Hervey. I figured he had moved on, so it's nice to see Bischoff back in wrestling. I don't know what's going to happen. It could be a disaster. It could be good. I don't know. And I think this is really just kind of a wait and see thing. But if Heyman is responsible for some of the writing that he's apparently been writing, then I'm going to have to go on a hot take. I'm going to have to do a hot take here. I think Heyman may have lost his touch a little bit.
So yeah,
uh, this
some of the
goes
stuff
back.
with Rousey was rough.
Yeah, like the Ronda
Uh,
stuff.
the
That
Ronda
was
stuff,
rough. Yeah.
and more recently, are you referring to the Lacey Evans stuff?
I
Oh,
don't think
I
I've
don't know
heard
if he's
Paul involved
responsible
with
for
that.
that. Like
Or
the
oh
Mike and
shit,
Maria stuff.
um, I just completely whiffed. See what you do with your pawns, dude. When you make people just like drink other what um who was involved with the Lacey promos?
Daniel Warrior.
Dana. Yeah, okay, never mind. Sorry.
Um, which that'll be an interesting little. How is Paul going to react to maybe having to deal with people like Dana Warrior backstage? Paul, who's been in the business 30 years, and Dana not.
Oh, I'm just gonna be blunt about this question. Why the fuck does Dana Warrior have any kind of creative position in WWE? Why?
I don't know. I don't know.
That
We got
that
into
just
that
came out
topic
of
a couple of weeks
nowhere.
ago. Yeah. It. The thing I'm interested in here with all of this coming to light is what does an Eric Bischoff show look like without Hogan, without all of those factors that were happening in WCW? Like, he's given basically a the first real blank sheet of his entire career.
Yeah. Well, in some regard, he was given a blank sheet with when they made him executive producer of WCW, and that's where we got the NWO from.
Which, let's not forget, he stole that idea
True, but still.
and ran it into the ground.
The
Um,
NWO.
oh God, please no. Um,
I'm going to inject the WWF with a lethal dose of poison.
please stop.
The poison of the NWO is running through the rattlesnake's veins.
Okay, I'm out by then.
Yeah, he even said please.
Um,
Pretty please would have been a better answer.
oh, I'm sorry. Here's one of my biggest fears with both of these guys coming on. Um,
Uh,
neither
and
one of them
again,
have
go
shown.
ahead.
Neither one of them have shown a propensity to work or know how to use. And of course, no one did back then, so it's not really. I mean, you
That's a
have to
big
blame it
big
on
word
them.
for an Ohio State grad.
Eat me, box top. Um,
Fuck you, paperweight.
Adam Rice is against education. You heard it here, folks.
just Moxes.
At least I got
Neither.
one.
Well, maybe. Um, neither one of them showed any interest in or ability to use women in the business.
Yeah, that's also, and that's
Paul
a
and
very
Eric,
great point.
Paul and Eric absolutely did everything that Vince did in just using the women as eye candy, objects of sexual gratification. That I
Dan, is
mean,
that you?
sir, I'm not into socks. Um, we only just have to look back at things like Pomona Wanalea, whose name, first of all, was
I'll take them both.
Seriously,
I'm hardcore.
sir.
I'll take them both on hardcore. The stuff with Beulah and Francine,
Catfight!
that, the
Hey, at least we
whole,
got Stacy Keebler out of it.
well, that was
Hey, which
WCW.
even when she jumped ship, like it didn't make it any better, but still,
There was no real difference between Miss Tessmacher and um, uh,
Stacy
Stacy Keibler.
Keebler. I
Yeah,
literally
I
just
don't know why I blame.
okay.
Yeah,
Miss
How
I don't know
much?
why I
Hancock.
blame.
How much whiskey have you had to drink?
Not enough.
Okay.
Um, and the same with
And yeah,
Tori.
go ahead.
Tori didn't change from WCW to WWF.
Mm,
So, not in any real meaningful way.
not really. No. Are we are we going to? I don't want to say give them a pass, but a chance of different
Let's
era.
see. Yeah, different era. Let's see what they can do. Because, I mean, that's all we can do. But I will say you have to keep an eye on it. Because
Di-
many of us already think that the whole women's revolution was nothing but a PR stunt.
thank you, Stephanie McMahon.
Uh,
Well, actually, thank you,
creator of
AJ Lee.
You,
the
you know, Mark, some say that Stephanie McMahon started the women's revolution.
She created women, so
yeah, right. Yeah, they must remind us that at all times.
hey, do you
They
remember Stephanie
being
McMahon
created by
created?
Stephanie.
Do you remember that day or anything you can?
No, I don't remember that day.
Apparently, she was
So
there.
apparently, so yeah, I'm gonna take a wait and see approach with them on that topic because you have to. But I will say you focus on it. Let's see what they do because as
I'll say
Matt,
this much, and this will piss Matt off, and I don't mean to, but
What are you gonna say?
um, when it comes to AA and viewing WWE TV programming again, um, as it stands right now, if I had to throw suggestions out, like give Raw a chance, you can probably still skip SmackDown.
because and Matt said it earlier, the stuff with Maria and Becky, and Seth and Mike, were
It's so
was
stupid.
it was straight out of ECW. But
At least
as
it's
we
different. Does that make sense?
I guess. It reminds me more of WCW than it does ECW. Like I'm half convinced that they hired Vince Russo secretly, like TNA did. Bro, I swear to God, this is going to work. Maria gets pregnant, and you don't know who the father is, bro.
It's Becky Lynch.
and by the way, I just have to say this about Becky and Seth from this past
Oh
Raw.
God, I
Stop
was hoping
this.
with
Stop this storyline immediately. It's not working. Just stop while
They
you're
oh,
ahead.
okay.
they
Hey,
were
let me
absolutely
rephrase what I said. Um, not everything on Raw is good.
Like
Um,
um,
it's funny.
it's a lot better than it
It's fun.
was.
It's funny for two characters that are supposed to be in love. I don't buy it at all. They have
they
no chemistry.
none none. They
And I
look
think it's partly because Becky just does not seem interested at all. She looks so uncomfortable. I don't care what Seth Rollins says in some random podcast that is inferior to Violent Wrestling Podcast, by the way.
well, sir. They're the ones who got the quotes. I don't know how inferior they are. Um, they, yeah, Becky and Seth were the worst part of this past Raw, uh, by far. Matt's right; they have no chemistry on screen, and that's half the
Yeah,
damn battle.
and we need to clarify that on screen chemistry. No, it's not coming through. Whether they're like hard eyes in love with each other, it's not translating to on screen and on screen story. It's just not working.
There's uh, they may have to pull the ripcord here. They should. They won't.
The ripcord
Because
me?
we're no. Oh God. Um, I set myself up for that too. I am not
Oh yeah.
happy. Um, but you'll get to segments like we got there, but then we got the opening segment on Raw, and that was great. The quick no DQ match, Braun putting Bobby through the Titantron, the stadium essentially going black, Corey Graves screaming "Holy shit" on a live mic, which people, and then immediately it just pulled you in. Now, one piece of storytelling I wish they would have continued with was they should have left the video board blank the whole night. left it blank, played people's music, but sell the fact that these two just wrecked the set. They
Yeah.
moved too quick um, and into trying to get through the show. Um, the
Like
stuff
we're
with
trying to do
AJ,
right now.
yeah, with AJ and Ricochet, yay, keep that up.
Bullet
That's
Club,
been
bitches.
Bullet Club, well, the club back his heels, which is a good thing because it gives AJ something. AJ needs things sometimes that amp up his thing, his character, because sometimes AJ's just boring, and that's just how it is. And it also doesn't help that Ricochet can also be boring from a character standpoint. Um, but promising news is that apparently Heyman really likes Ricochet. And so I hope that maybe takes Ricochet further up the card.
That would be nice.
Oh,
Mm.
what? I was waiting for A to chime in.
Uh,
I wonder why.
I like Ricochet.
it's so
I
she can
know.
watch more Casey Catanzaro Ricochet.
Sir, you did not say Casey Hardass Kentazaro,
Hard
so
eyes, yes. I'm sorry, hard eyes. I apologize. Um, I will say they kind of fumbled the ball on Raw a little bit with the Alexa and Nikki stuff because I
yeah. Raw wasn't perfect. I don't mean to.
no, it wasn't perfect, but as the ratings showed, people tuned in,
Yeah. And ratings
and
were down for SmackDown.
but only by a smidge. I mean, it's not like it was some huge drop, but it still
Yeah,
wasn't great. It wasn't over
300,000
2.0.
people or a smidge.
300,000 people can't be wrong.
Yes, they can, but I won't
To
get
quote
into
a
that.
Bon Jovi live album.
Sweet
Why would you
Lord.
ever do that? Why? Why?
Whoa, she's a little runaway.
No, no, sir. Um,
Don't
I
ever.
think, yeah, I think they tipped their hand a bit too much with the Alexa Nikki stuff because now it's starting to become obvious where this is going. And the interesting part of the whole thing was, where what was the in game. It definitely feels like the in game definitely feels like Alexa is going to be the one to turn on Nikki. Um, but maybe not for the reason we thought. It looks like the way they told it on Raw was Carmella had a match with Alexa Bliss, and Carmella won with a roll up in 5 seconds. And then Nikki kind of came in and won. And it looks like they're trying to tell this story of maybe Alexa's star is fading while Nikki's is rising, and the jealousy and all that stuff.
So you mean to say that WWE is going out of their way to make Alexa Bliss look weak?
Well, let me ask you, what else could it
Oh
be?
god, I don't know. I really don't know.
I mean, they are making her look, less than. Um, I know you're being sarcastic and everyone doing the LOL Alexa Bliss thing, but in a realistic sense, that's what they're doing.
I'd like to think that, but do you trust WWE to do a story like that?
They're certainly propping Nikki up, and if we get another serviceable star in the division, I don't care how they get there, just so long as they get there.
I mean, they are propping Nikki up, and if you need to prop something up, go to
Son of
BlueChew.com.
a.
Dude.
I'm going to get a letter, and it's going to be your fault. Um,
You keep setting yourself up.
I, but like I said, I think they
Like
fixed their.
Bluetooth.com would?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh
exactly.
God, no, no, please make it stop.
It's not going to stop. So
Not for 4 more hours.
Oh,
And then consult a doctor.
consult a doctor. I'm going to run a flag up it. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, you think
Just,
the phone's the only thing getting run over by the Rav tonight? Shit. No, I've got brick. I know how to work the accelerator.
uh, they, but I don't know, Mox. Am I crazy to say that they there were definitely good things and things to be maybe hopeful about that they absolutely did drop the ball a couple times on Raw?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're crazy. To answer
Yeah,
your first
totally
question,
different. Yeah, yeah.
but you're not wrong, and but it's still my suggestion at AA of at least the last few weeks. I can't predict what's going to happen this Monday, but give Raw a chance again isn't wrong either.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
It's right. Definitely tune back in if you tuned out. The last, like we said, the last 3 weeks, Raw has been good, entertaining, um, and shockingly, when Raw is good and interesting, there's been less social media bitching, and it's noticeable. Um, SmackDown had some issues, but
I've pretty
is what
much
it
No,
is.
given up on.
like no iconics. That was a big
That
issue.
that wasn't one of the issues.
That was definitely an issue, sir.
Um,
Now you want a duo with chemistry. There's a duo with chemistry right there.
yeah, it is. And by the way, the WWE might be doing the wrong storyline when it comes to two ladies who happen to be friends, and that's how I'm going to phrase that.
I don't know. I mean, there were a couple of segments on WTV where they referred to each other as their wives.
Okay, they all do that. But secondly, you're still not wrong. Um, and we kind of stumbled into this, but this was another thing I wanted to bring up when we were talking about Eric
And
Bischoff.
Bluetooth will help you bring it up.
Stop, stop. Bischoff was
Matt
one.
was gonna say it, so I just had to cut him off
Yeah,
Yeah,
at the tip.
we all remember HLA.
and if it lasts more than 4 hours, that might happen.
We all, sweet Jesus, I can't believe I'm bringing this up after that. Um, we all remember HLA and Eric's hand in that, and the 3 minute warning and all that. Then how all that came together. Like I said,
If we didn't remember, we were reminded at the
if you
beginning
if
of the
you had
podcast.
if you had successfully blocked that out, I'm sorry. Um, there's just some things we're just gonna have to keep an eye on when it comes to Raw and SmackDown with these new changes. Now, let me ask you guys this: do you think Vince bringing these two guys in is indicative of him maybe wanting experienced guys in there now that AEW is starting to come alive?
Did
Or do
you
you
just
think
call
this
me a
is just
dick? I heard the word
not
dick.
yet?
Did you just call me a
Not
dick?
yet. Not yet. I haven't yet. No. Um,
Saving that for Matt. Okay.
yeah, yes. Giggity.
Oh, good God.
Is did Vince call these two guys who he's been to war with, call them into the company because he's fixing to go to war with AEW? Or is this just Vince trying to do something
No.
different to help his product?
Well, that's where I don't know if that's accurate because AEW is not competition. It's not competition. They're just a good alternative to the WWE that takes shots at them every once in a while. But don't worry, they're not competition.
What you did there, I like it. But Mox, do you think this is in reaction to AEW or Vince trying to actually make his
Like
television
a
better?
retaliation? Nah.
Not a retaliation, just a he sees this startup company get some buzz, have some good press, not Kristen press,
Kristen
just
Press.
press. See, I beat you to it. Um,
And never mind, never mind.
um, are you? Is this him just reacting to the feedback he's seeing these other guys getting, or is he actually genuinely concerned about what's happening in the ratings and all that kind of stuff?
Uh, I don't think it's either or here. Um, uh, damn it. I was hoping Matt would do it.
Do what?
Vince, Vince, XFL. All the way, baby.
XFL. Where's my football? Quite frankly, figure skating sucks. Where's
Please
my
stop.
football?
Pretty please stop. I'm asking you nicely.
No, I'm asking the question. Where's my football? I don't know
It
where it
hasn't left.
The dog stole it.
is.
The dog stole it. Yeah. Um, I speculated that myself that this was Vince putting two guys he's worked with and knows in charge before he goes to take some time away to work on the XFL. But
And I said that sarcastically. This is just the running gag is Vince is out of touch, and Vince is 72, 73 years
four,
old. He's senile. Um, companies can go different directions without it being related to a different company. Like that, it happens all the time. It's just we as wrestling fans nitpick everything to fucking death, and don't see a broader stroke of the painting. Oh, okay. Um, and I'm not saying Vince is admitting he's out of touch or anything, but hey, he might at the very least be admitting, I need some help here. Who's my two biggest competitors from back in the day? Who's two people? At least one, I guess you can trust Paul. Uh, and Eric. Like I don't see the encapsulation of, oh, this is an AEW rebuttal
reaction.
reaction thing. No, it's
Let me ask you something else. What is your reaction to the report that Triple H turned down the SmackDown job?
I don't believe that for a fucking second. I don't believe. Um, from the beginning of that, I don't believe um, that was offered to him. For one, Triple H is already above that level,
I don't
and
know if he's above it the way
dude,
because the way
go ahead.
because they're all reporting to Vince. So I kind of look at them as all being on the same organizational structure. But Paul does have other responsibilities that Eric and Paul and Heyman won't have.
I was about to say, clarify which Paul you're talking about, Paul Levesque or Paul
Heyman.
Heyman.
If I want to talk about Hunter, I'll just say Hunter. Um,
Well, look at
even
you,
though that's
big
not his real
shot,
name.
knowing him
That's
by.
even though that's
You
not his
had
real
to be
name.
such a big shot.
Don't you?
You had to be a white hot spot. Like
Like
you had to be a big shot last
last
night.
night.
Oh,
I listened to that today.
nice.
It. I don't know if whether to believe it or not. I could
Mike
see
Ripley.
Rhea.
I will, dude. You are due north of me, just like Matt's due south of me. I will fucking hunt you down and hurt you.
Um, they are in this. This is all going to be weird over the next course of the next few months. Um, but I do want to say what this isn't. This isn't going to be a return to the Attitude Era. Drop that notion right now.
Oh, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen.
It they serve too many masters, and I don't think that half of that 75% of the stuff in the Attitude Era would get WWE kicked off TV today. But that's not
I mean,
happening.
I don't know. I mean, I'm always down for a 80-year-old woman giving birth to a hand. I mean, that just never gets old.
You know, I had almost successfully blocked that from memory. You suck.
What about the when the hand was grown up and came back at a Raw 1000?
That was stupid, but that was funny as hell.
Okay, see.
Or how about the dog kennel from Hell match?
Okay, this, sir. There's again things we don't talk about.
You mean like Katie Vick?
Oh,
Yes, that falls in that category.
the Stephanie Triple H wedding.
Hey, that wasn't so bad.
Get a nice shot of the brand new Mr. and Mrs. Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Yeah, that wasn't so bad. That segment where Triple H
I
kayfabe
mean,
drugged it and
I mean,
married Stephanie against her will.
I know you have one question on your mind, Dad. How
Oh
many
God, don't
times do
say it.
we
Don't
consummate
say
the
it.
marriage?
He's saying it. There's that other part too where she was still knocked out. Yeah, that's the. It's not good. Not good.
Don't forget Big
The
Boss
reason
Man invading Big Show's daddy's funeral.
Should have shot it, George.
or
Should have shot it.
Boss Man cooking.
oh fuck! Should have shot at George is going to be a staple forever on VWP from here anymore.
By George, I think
Or
he's got it.
uh, or when Boss Man cooked Al Snow's Perry. Shit, was it Saturn's dog or it was Al Snow's dog?
It was
Wasn't
Al
it?
Snow's
He was
chihuahua named Pepper.
Pepper cooked and ate and forced Al Snow to eat Pepper.
What's the matter?
Good night,
How?
bud.
How? You don't like to taste pepper? Tastes like chicken.
those things won't happen ever.
Yeah, we're not saying the Big Show getting dragged by the Big Boss Man on his father's coffin. Like, come on now. Like,
It pains me deeply to hear
oh
that the Big
God.
Show's daddy had passed on. And because of that, I went out and I got a sympathy card.
Please no. Um,
On that note, you guys want to start wrapping this up a little bit?
I do want to quickly touch on the other news that happened while we were away. The report that TNA might be getting a new television home. Impact might be
Again,
getting a new television. Yeah,
Access.
there is talk that Impact Wrestling will be moving to Access TV to give Access a potential 2 hour wrestling block of New Japan, Women of Wrestling, and now Impact. That
Well,
hasn't
Impact is two
been
hours on its own, so it'd be 4 hours.
4 hour
But
block, but
the
it's
the
2 hours.
caveat the
It,
caveat here being Access has already announced that they'll be moving New Japan and Women of Wrestling to Saturdays.
so you're right. So it would be they could move
People,
Impact to Saturdays.
oh, it's Saturday night.
Don't ever do that again. Um,
Oh, it's Saturday night.
but when that news came out, well, I could see a Friday. Like, wait a minute, they've already announced that the two shows that are on the channel are moving to Saturdays come this fall. So if they get Impact and they want this quote unquote wrestling block, it'd be on Saturday, not Friday.
right.
And let's just air that out.
Yep, that is correct. Um, shoot, lost my train of thought.
Bang.
Work.
Funny. Um, oh yeah. By the way,
Ah,
currently
funny.
the hottest feud on Impact Wrestling is Tessa Blanchard and Sammy Callahan. And
Oh, speaking of bang,
put in
Sir.
reference to
just shoot me, bang.
um,
Oh,
this past episode, Callahan used a baseball bat on Tessa Blanchard, which tells me that there's only one way this is heading, and I know not good, not good, everybody.
Where do you think it's heading?
to
No dis,
BlueChew.com.
stop it. Um, a no street fight, no disqualification kind of match, intergender, no DQ match, and I have no desire to see that.
You don't think Tessa Blanchard's going to win?
I don't. It's not that I don't think Tessa Blanchard is going to win. I think she's absolutely going to win because that's how this is being built. I don't want to see Tessa get color, and I think that's what's going to happen. And that because that's Sammy Callahan's kind of match. He's a deathmatch guy. He's always been a deathmatch guy.
Hmm. Who is Paul Heyman working for?
So I get the idea of maybe wanting to run with some intergender wrestling, and I'm not like so horribly against it that I never want to see it happen. I think if you do it correctly, it could bring something to your TV. But I kind of do draw the line at that kind of hyper violence. I'm not 15 anymore. I don't watch Sabu.
Well,
Well, sir, that's separate. I'm not 15 anymore. The hyper violence of ECW and CZW and those kind of ultra violent matches.
sir, don't you Not on this
They
podcast,
don't
sir.
they don't entertain me like they did when I was 10 years old younger. To bring that
This
type
motherfucker's
of
trying to say he's 25. Mother.
okay, I'm sorry. 15 years younger. You
Hey, Mox.
happy?
Hey, Mox. I just thought of something funnier than 24.
Oh God.
25.
Can
The
somebody
fact that
please take
Allie
us
still
out?
laughed,
Yes.
so um, that concerns me. But it could still work out for Impact. I'm not saying it can't. I'm just saying, me personally, if that's where this is headed, I'm not looking forward to it. I know me and Mox have had that conversation just
Yeah.
recently. Uh,
Not my cup of tea. As
but
much
it's
as I
Mox.
mean, we're named VWP,
But,
Violent
but
Wrestling
what if it was?
Podcast.
But what? But what if it was a cup of Tegan?
Did
Got you
he
there,
just
Anywho,
didn't
say
I?
moving
that? Did
on.
he just say that?
Nah,
Oh,
we're gonna pretend he didn't. Um,
her countdown's down to zero, by the way, so we should be. Oh, I hope she's coming back soon, but that's. I won't get into that. Is there anything else from the last 5 days that
nope, nope. Let's get the fuck out of here. Don't ask open-ended questions.
I just want to be nice? Is there anything else you guys want to cover?
Nope, nope. We're done.
Matt,
Nope, he's done.
No, let Matt speak for himself.
Damn it.
anything else? Matt, Alex, Mox?
No, I don't think so.
Nope, I think we got
Sweet.
it covered.
There is a God.
Um, in that case, Miss Allie,
Though I do encourage everyone to watch the Iconics ride along and watch them eat that Cheetos chicken sandwich. It is pretty cool.
What you should have done in that
that
case is post a video of you eating the Cheetos chicken sandwich that you were
Uh,
inspired by.
well, it was too late. I'm almost done with it.
Well, I'm just saying, like, what you should have done and post it on Twitter, tag them that they inspired you. We talked about it on VWP. We get more listeners. See,
Well, I mean,
it,
they
you're,
inspire me a lot, but that's a story for another day.
you're not
the
corporate
product
enough.
placement,
You're
product
not
placement
corporate
on that
enough
is
for
just
us.
local. All right. Oh God, Allie, please begin to take us out.
Okay, well, where can they find you, Adam?
You guys can find me at PWFan01 on Twitter and at Cage Seats, SB Nation's pro wrestling blog, in the daily and in the nightly, which I will be over there in just a little bit. And thank you guys for listening.
How about you, Middle Matt?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at MailMat15, or listening on KSC, on the daily and the nightly. And hopefully tomorrow on the 4th of July, finally, me and Angel will hopefully finally be able to do Taboo Tuesday 7-4 and SmackDown for this Raw on RE podcast. So hopefully tomorrow that'll end up happening.
And what about you, Mox?
Uh, first and first and foremost, shout out to Mr. Ohio State grad for finally saying 01 instead of 01. There's no O in the numerical system, so shout out there, PW fan 01. You can find me Fireman68009 on Twitter. Find me on Twitch at Mox underscore VWP. And that's about it. Where can they find you and the rest of us as a group?
They can find us on Twitter, or me on Twitter, Lady Rashana, but we're also on Twitter as Violent Wrestling Podcast.
No G.
No G. And you can find me on Twitch at Violent Wrestling Podcast. no G.
We leave the gangsters out of it.
Actually, it's just one word, one letter more than they accepted, so I had to take one of
Yeah.
them out.
My joke and never mind.
I got it.
Yeah.
I did. So, with that, good night, everybody.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye.